Hey everybody, so my name is Jack Music, and it is Saturday, July 11th, 2015, and it's probably almost about 10 till 10 a.m. So this is my video journal number one. I don't like the term vlog, it sounds kind of weird, and do people even do vlogs anymore? I don't know. But this is what I'm going to do for a while. I've been journaling off and on for many years, probably since the 90s, and I need to get back into doing it more regularly. I've started to kind of do it a little bit on my website, BigIslandKobudo.com, but I want to get back into the habit a little more. So there are two things I wanted to talk about today. One is communication, and another is not being afraid to look like a dumbass. So with communication, this was prompted by sending someone an email within a week ago, let's say, about a week ago. And, I mean, it was like a long, well-written email, gone through a few drafts, edited it, fairly tightly, I thought. And it was to someone that, I feel knows me better than anyone else, right? Someone that knows me really well and kind of has an idea like who, the real Jack is. And they replied to me a couple days later, and some of their replies, well, it was just like I thought, man, you don't know me at all, right? And some of it I thought was due to the nature of communication, because so much of how we communicate is done through, sure, there's the words that you communicate with, but then there's also nonverbal communication. There's body language, then there's a tone, intonation, facial expression, and many other things. I'd have to research it to see, how other thinkers have broken down nonverbal communication into how many components there are. And so some of my letter, they'd replied, and it was stuff like, yeah, of course I know that, duh, that's a given. And I was just thinking, maybe some of them, yeah, they didn't get some of what I was saying. Maybe I didn't communicate effectively. Maybe if I'd done it in person, everything I wanted to be understood would have been understood. And I thought, man, this just made the way they replied to it, my whole letter must have just made me look like a dumbass to them. Like, they just must have thought, like, this guy's a flippin' moron, I mean, he's not considering all this basic X, Y, and Z knowledge. When I wrote my letter, of course that's a given. It's just... So anyway, that would take me into part two, which is, not being afraid to look like a dumbass. And yeah, maybe probably other people would read the letter and say, no, you didn't look like a dumbass. But I thought, like, man, I must have looked like a dumbass. But, not being afraid to look like a dumbass, and being fearless, and going forward, in life, and not being afraid to make a fool of yourself. Because, yeah, and I'm reminded now of a Facebook post by a friend I've never met in person, but we met through a private Star Trek discussion group, and they said on Facebook, like, I'm taking my first Adult Swim lesson, and, I might look like a fool, or look like might look like a dumbass, or something like that, and I've replied, yeah, but the people who aren't afraid to look like a dumbass lead the most extraordinary lives. They have some of the best experiences. And, risk-taking behavior. Like, if you're in a foreign country and learning a new language, you go out by yourself, you take risks. Don't just go with the other Americans and you're going to be talking English and have that filter when you're interacting with other people. Go out on your own if it's safe and if you can, and you take that risk, and you're going to have a lot more rewarding experiences, in my experience, in my opinion. And so, like that guy who, took the plunge, he wanted to learn how to swim. He took the adult swimming class, and yeah, he felt like, yeah, I'm gonna, I might look like a geek, I might be embarrassed or whatever. Yeah, but you're gonna learn how to swim, and you're gonna learn how to swim really well, and you're gonna be a better swimmer than the people that have been doing it for years and haven't had a lesson since they were a child. So, living life without being afraid to look like a dumbass. I mean, so often, like, we've been, bullied as children. We have been, made fun of, ostracized, ridiculed. And so as adults, we have all this negative programming of shame, where we're ashamed to do something, or we're, ashamed to look like a moron. And sure, it happens sometimes, but if you can laugh at yourself about it, then, it's nothing to be ashamed of, right? If you make a mistake and look like a fool, big deal, we all do at one point or another. And this is kind of prompted by yesterday. We had, there's a usually weekly event, unless there's a holiday, like last weekend, it was 4th of July weekend. There's a thing called Nerd Talk, that's organized by a couple people here in Garden City. And I spoke at the event, and as the first speaker was talking, a guy pulled up, and this is at a coffee shop on the main street, small town Kansas, and a guy pulled up on a Harley in front of the coffee shop and stopped, and he walked in, and the first one I attended a few weeks ago, the talk was organized so that the speaker was speaking from the back of the store, the back of the coffee shop, the west side. And then this time it was kind of set up so that the speaker was standing at the east side, which is the front, the main street entrance. But there's still another entrance over on the south side. There's 2 doors you could go through to enter the coffee shop. And so this guy pulls up on a Harley, and then he walks into the coffee shop, and he opens the door, and then, sees all the people, and sees the speaker standing to his left, and he kind of, like, does this, like, because we all have that feeling when we walk into a room, and suddenly everyone looks at us, and, like, we're briefly the center of attention, when, it's not our fault. We didn't know there was a class going on in that room. We didn't know there was a lecture going on. So, like, walk in, join the lecture, maybe just nod at the person, and then go about your business. But this guy, he did the thing, he did he like tensed up, and then he walked back out of the building, and, got back on his Harley and drove away. And it's like, yeah, the coffee shop was open though, dude. Like, you wanted your coffee. You obviously stopped there for, a drink of some sort. And, no shame. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid to look like a dumbass. You didn't know that, the lecture was going on, and nobody judged you for it, nobody would have cared. And you could have come in, got your coffee, enjoyed a little bit of the lecture, while you're waiting for your drink, and maybe you would have known somebody. I mean, this is a small town, so maybe you would have known somebody. Maybe you would have enjoyed the lecture, and it would have led to a great experience, and it would have led to, something else happening. So, this is also like a thing where maybe I need to take my own advice, right? Because I have times where I feel like a geek. But, yeah, so I guess that's what I wanted to talk about today. So, okay, yeah, coming on 10 minutes. So, if you watched all the way to the end, thank you for watching. Or if you, minimized it and listened to it, thanks for listening. I appreciate your time. And, yeah, subscribe. And subscribe to my channel, please. I'm going to have a lot of really cool videos coming up. And give this a thumbs up if you liked it. And please feel free to leave a comment. And yeah, let's have a discussion down below in the comments. So yeah, again, thanks for watching. And peace. Aloha.